Episode 11, LGBT+, Preparations and Themes. Welcome back. In this episode, we'll cover the theme of LGBT+ stories. Before we get to the main plot lines, let's prepare. When you decide to feature an LGBT+ character, always remind yourself that while we tend to lump the entire LGBT+ community as one big group, each of their individual communities face drastically different challenges, and we should be able to explore these differences in a non-derivative and genuine way to promote greater acceptance in general, and for readers with those communities to feel like they have been represented in your fictional lore. While it might be tempting to play on stereotypes and highlight the uniqueness and differences LGBT+ characters have, in contrast to straight characters, it's way more interesting to showcase the ways in which they often, just like everyone else, and they share the same traits and motivations. The fact that a couple is not straight is not enough to drive a story. You still need to determine a genre. Is your book a romantic love story, a fantasy, a suspense/thriller, or a sports story? You can write whatever type of book you like, provided that the protagonists are members of the LGBT+ community. Questions you should ask yourself when writing LGBT+ stories. If you have written an LGBT+ story, you can think about the following questions. Why did your readers like the story you wrote? Which chapters was the most actively discussed by your readers? Which chapters most impressed your readers, and what was going on in them? And to avoid recreating past mistakes, ask yourself, which chapters were disliked by your readers, and what was going on in them? Which chapters had the fewest comments? If you've never written an LGBT+ story, you can think about the following questions. Is there a plot in an LGBT+ story that you particularly liked? What chapters did you pay particular attention to while reading? And what was going on in them? Writing tips for LGBT+ stories. Now that you've decided to write a book featuring members of the LGBT+ community, it is time for some useful tips regarding character settings, plots, and professions. Create a good character. A protagonist's character settings are the basis of the whole story. Character pairings and conflicts are very important. Some of the following character settings can be used in various combinations. The sky is the limit. Create a good plot. Like the LGBT+ slogan, love is love. A good plot doesn't need labels of sexual orientations. The romantic or tragic scenarios common in straight stories also apply to those that contain members of the LGBT+ community. Decide on the right profession. Before you decide what the protagonist's jobs will be, you must consider their personalities. Just like the fact that we can't see Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory as a chef in a restaurant, you must choose logical professions for your protagonists based on their personality and characteristics. Reference plots for LGBT+ stories. After the breakup. After experiencing a failed love, where lies the destiny? Will they get back together, or will they move on? Perhaps they'll experiment and play the field. For example, most werewolves have only one fated mate in their life. What would happen if a werewolf were to be rejected by their mate, run away with a broken heart, or would he be able to encounter a second mate by happenstance, or a third maybe? Taming a playboy. Easy come, easy go is the nature of playboys. How can you keep their restless eyes from wandering? This can be a great challenge. For example, if a billionaire wants to enter a contract marriage with you, will you accept him, or will you just say no? You know that he's a notorious playboy. He's probably going to toy with you like all the others. Will you fall for him anyway, or run away as fast as you can? Can he be tamed? Secret lover. How do you know you've fallen for someone maybe you shouldn't have? Can you overcome the difficulties and find your happily ever after? Or will the secrecy tear you apart? Our first example. Because of his androgynous body, he was afraid to get close to or have intimate relationships with others. But when he met that special someone who made his heart flutter, in the process of getting to know and falling in love with each other, his secrets came out gradually. Here's another example. One was an alpha, who had been the golden boy of the pack. The other was the child of a traitor, scorned and looked down upon since childhood. When the alpha fell in love with the public enemy number one, how can he keep his secret secret? In the next episode, we'll quickly recap everything and send you on your way to create the next great novel. Time to write your story now.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see great content for writers and readers.